The opposition is alleging that parliamentary processes were short-circuited by the railway minister when he increased rail fares without waiting for the railway budget. Why was this done? To talk about it, we are joined by the Union Rail Minister, Pawan Kumar Bansal. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Hot Pursuit. As a part of parliamentary tradition, most railway ministers have waited for the railway budget to make any announcement on tariff hike. Why is it that you short-circuited the procedure and increased rail fare without waiting for the budget?
See, for the last 10 years, excepting this year, when a little announcement was made about increase in the fares of the first class, the AC2 tier and the AC first class, no announcement whatever about the fares has been made in the parliament for many, many years. And it is the parliament alone which has given the right to the government to fix tariff anytime. There's nothing that we violated the parliamentary procedures or
You might not have violated law, but there is tradition.
I'm again, it's not the tradition also, because the tradition is not announcing anything. No fares have been increased for 10 years. So what tradition are we talking of? Now I found myself in a position today when I took over that our financial health was in a bad shape altogether. The question before me was, you could say, well, why did I not do in the last session? Last session I had just taken over. Before that, I had to understand the things. I tried to go in depth into the entire matter and understand for myself as to what is the need. I felt it is imperative for us to increase the fares today. Had we not done it and waited, now it's not just 1 month's time for the budget. If we now make an announcement in the budget that takes effect from 1st of April, now this will take effect from 1st of January, which means it gives me 2 months and 10 days. 2 months, 10 days is a critical period. And in this case, it indeed was. It will give me 1200 crores of rupees in this period only for me to invest it in cleanliness drives, in safety measures, and a host of other things.
But the fact remains, if you'd announced this in the budget, there would have been a massive hullabaloo in Parliament, and probably that fear held you back. You've essentially tried to push this in through the back door.
That is your imagination, I must say. I was guided by, firstly, as I said, I had to understand the things. Then, about the interest of the railways. Parliament one has to face always. I will be facing the Parliament in the session also. People can raise this point again, if they do wish to. But it is for them to see, during this period, what do we do? What initiatives we take? People are coming to me in large numbers. The MPs only are coming to me in large numbers for cutting across the party lines. They want new lines. They want track renewal. They want extension of trains. They want more stoppages. They want the platforms to be improved. They want the platforms to be covered. They want a host of facilities. And that is the responsibility of the Minister of Railways to provide to the people. How do you provide it? The government, businesses, its responsibility is when you charge them for a service, you have to provide the commensurate services. That's what we intend to do, and we will do it. You must not also forget the fact. Railways, please look into the mandate of the railways. Railways' mandate is that it has to be essentially a commercial organization, but with a very heavy social responsibility.
No, but when we compare the current state of the Indian railways with the sort of progress that China has made, it's really abysmal how the Indian railways is now lagging. We were way ahead of the Chinese when it came to railway penetration earlier, several decades ago. Now they've overtaken us and they're at least 30, 40 years ahead of us.
I agree as far as the factual position is concerned. But we must not always compare ourselves with the way the things work in China. There's a world of difference between the way their system works and our system works.
Their system works, ours doesn't. That's the difference.
No, it is not so. Our system works. Our system works in a democratic manner. You have to be sensitive to the aspirations of the people, the views of the people. Here, if I were to increase, if the Chinese minister were to think of doubling the fares today, he would have done it in a fraction of a second. I couldn't have done it. I feel there is the need to increase it further. I feel it today, but I'm not doing it because I feel that if we have not done it for 10 years' time, we must not do it in one go. We have to do it slowly. And this we have done, raising it from 2 paise per kilometer to 10 paise per kilometer in different categories. And you please still compare the fares after increase with the fares prevalent in case of buses all over the country. You will see the difference for yourself.
No, because I want to come back to the Chinese question. The fact is, in China, you got trains running at about 300 kilometers per hour, almost flying along the ground. Whereas in India, our trains struggle to hit even 80 kilometers.
You're right. See, but then again, the difference is, if in India, which we'll have to go, there's no way other than inviting private investment into this.
So who's stopping you?
you're you're rushing to conclusions. I'm telling you, the people, when you're talking of the parliament also, again, I shouldn't be interpreted, I mean, whatever I'm saying differently. But look at our people. What would they do when we talk of investment? And now today, I mean, there's a beautiful one cartoon today that they left, and the BJP are traveling on the I-card of another party. I mean, that is what happens here. You look at the position in China. As I said again, they have to take a decision. We have taken a decision that we have identified 7 corridors for fast trains. And the government does believe that our approach has to be for a new generation. It has to be aspirational. Our objectives have to be
but
aspirational.
But we've been hearing this in speech
after
after speech.
Please don't.
Every year,
let me complete
ministers
that.
say the same thing and do nothing.
They've said the same thing, but then we have not been able to attract that. For the reason as such, you know why investment is not coming to India?
Because the government's failure to attract investment.
The obstructionist attitude of the BJP and the other parties.
It's the government's job to deal with that.
Well, we have been trying to deal to whatever
unsuccessfully.
Extent. Well, I'm sorry?
Unsuccessfully.
Well, if somebody is determined not to let anything happen in the parliament, what do you do?
Statecraft involves trying to find solutions.
Do you bulldoze the parliament in that way? I mean, you cannot. Chinese maybe, I mean, I shouldn't be talking of another country that way. But what I say is, the comparison between the two systems is not appropriate. We have to go by our system. And in our system, we have our plans. That plan is, and we are moving forward. I'm sure you are aware of the progress that we made in the case of dedicated freight corridors. That will entail an expenditure of 95,000 crores of rupees over a period of 5 years.
You said you felt that there is need for another hike in the prices of railway tickets. Are you suggesting that come the budget, you as minister will be proposing further increase in rail tariff?
No, I don't propose any such. I mean, I have taken that into account.
If there's a need, why won't you do it?
I have taken that into account. Well, I think that we shouldn't be increasing it after 2.5 months only.
No, but if there's a need to do it, why wouldn't we do it?
I mean, we'll have to bear that shock for the time being. We'll have to. I'm saying that. I mean, you are right. There could be a need. And what could the need be like? And that will put a very difficult question. I mean, put me in a very difficult position as also the entire government. Suppose there is increase in the fuel prices, the diesel prices. And what I hear is diesel prices could go up to any amount. What would happen again? This entire money would be gobbled up by the increase in on the fuel subsidy bill only. And not the subsidy, the fuel bill only. I mean, we will be able to put in a difficult question, then the question will arise again. But I can tell you, I will not be doing it on my own. I mean, if the people then tell me, I mean, and I hope that if the members in the parliament from other parties say, well, here is the need, well, we'll talk to them. But on my own, the government on its own is not planning to increase the fares in the budget.
Because the other fear a lot of people who watch the railways have is that the government has been pumping up freight prices disproportionately. So moving a large part of the traffic to roadways, which is highly inefficient, very polluting, and because it's the easiest thing to do politically, no one will yell and shout saying that why have you increased freight prices, there is a high tendency that you might do it.
It's a very pertinent question, I must say. Presently, we are cross-subsidizing the passenger fare with the freight charges. And this year it is likely to be as much as 25,000 crores. And it is precisely for this reason that we have to increase this fare. We can't price ourselves out of the goods traffic market. Already in the country, the railways have a share of only 36% in the goods transport sector. And we should not lose that. We should rather endeavor to gain more of it, because railways is efficient, it is pollution free, and this will help faster movement of the goods. Therefore, we have to see that we must also at the same time see that the burden, and that ultimately again goes to the people. Even the freight goes to the people. And therefore, I personally feel that there should be a balanced approach as far as the fixation of the fares and the freight is concerned.
Tell me, why is it that anybody who becomes railway minister first takes care of the interests of his own constituents? You know, we saw it with Mamata Banerjee, we saw it with Paswan. Whichever state or area the minister comes from, you're riding on a train from Chandigarh to Delhi, you're starting a new Shatabdi, you know, and that's where you come from, that's your parliamentary constituency. So the first task of any rail minister is to keep his own people happy.
I said one thing on taking over the charge, that all the regions and all the states in the country will get their due share. There are states...
Starting with your own constituency.
This is just one very small thing. This will happen with many other states and many other routes. I mean, just a train. And this was a demand which I had been raising, which the people of Chandigarh had been raising for the last 10 years. And the ministers had been assuring me of that. So I am just fulfilling an assurance.
What they didn't do,
I am only fulfilling an assurance of the other ministers. I mean, it wasn't done, you're right. I mean, I have done it. This was available. As and when the coaches are available for a new train, we have always been doing it. And look back to the past. You will see how many trains have been started from Chandigarh. There is the demand still for taking a train from Chandigarh to Amritsar. There is the demand for
that will happen in the budget next.
No, it won't happen in the budget. It cannot happen in the budget because we will not have that number of coaches. We have to start trains elsewhere also. But what I'm saying again is, every state, every union territory will have its due share. And
but then also in this process of ensuring,
when is the time to pass judgment? I mean, for somebody who's not from Chandigarh, he will not say that I have given undue favors to Chandigarh alone. They will say, well, I have taken care of the entire country and that's my business. I am not minister for Chandigarh alone. My leadership has picked me up for this job for the entire country, and I think I am aware of my responsibilities. Yeah. I will discharge those to the best of my ability.
When we look at budget figures for past years, ministers are so fond of giving out doles to their supporters, to other MPs who come to them, that you announce so many trains. If actually somebody compares with budget figures and sees how many of those trains have been started, very few have actually been started.
See, again, that will be a difficult task before me. I'm already besieged with a large number of requests from different quarters to start new trains. But more than starting the trains, I mean, how I take this question is, there's already a throw forward of 1,50,000 crores rupees as far as our announcements or ongoing projects relating to track renewal, new lines, gauge conversion, doubling electrification is concerned, which are imperatives for the railways to move forward. Already for this, the announcements have been many times more than our resources. And presently, today, as of today, we need 1,50,000 crores of rupees to meet these needs. So that is the challenge before me. I would not like to announce more things. My priority should be, and it will be, that I must first see which are the ongoing projects which we can expeditiously complete,
okay,
so that we take the best advantage out of it. There should be no increase in the prices of what you call is the cost overruns. I will try to avoid that. But then again, you should say, everybody has been saying that, well, you have to wait for some time to see that. I am only saying that it shall be my endeavor. I would not want to announce more things which we cannot take up.
Thousands of agitated youngsters come out to the streets of the national capital, and minister, not one MP, MLA or minister comes out to meet them. Why is it that people in power now seem to be so scared of their own people?
This is not a correct assessment of the situation. The responsibility of the people in power is to be sensitive towards the needs of the people, the aspirations of the people, and also sensitize themselves about what they say, about how do we deal with the situation that arises, what is their demand, what is the situation that calls for action. And I think on no occasion has the present government been wanting in that. It's not necessary that when people converge on a street somewhere that some minister must go there immediately.
Why not?
No, let me complete it. Large number of people gathered when Anna Hazare called for them. Was it our responsibility to go and address him or be present in the congregation there? No, I say. No, but at the same time, whenever something happens anywhere, we must not take it lightly. Anything happening anywhere, and in this particular case, when you mentioned the latest one, is a matter which must wake up all of us, whether the governments or any political party or the society as such, out of slumber.
No, I'm sorry, I disagree. For example, see what happened after the killings in the United States. Obama flew down, met the family, the relatives, he made a speech, he even broke down. When people saw that, they felt that, okay, here's a leader who's connected, who cares. When something similar happens in India, nobody steps out of 10 Janpath, out of 7 Racecourse Road, out of their big offices in South Block, North Block. They don't care what's happening.
It's not a fair assessment of the things, again, I say. You can't compare the situations in different countries and different lands.
Both are democracies.
No, democracies they are.
Certain leaders.
Democracy they are. I mean, excuse my saying that. At times, our functioning of the system here gives a view that it is not democracy, it is mobocracy that prevails in the country. I said it's a strong statement by me. I mean, I won't like.
So are you saying?
No, I'm not.
The protesters coming out.
No, I'm not saying. I'm again saying one thing. I'm saying one thing which I mean, that it is the legitimate right of everybody to protest, to demand things from the government. But it is not their right to break down break and ransack the public property.
And it is the legitimate right of ministers not to come out and meet their own people.
You're laying too much emphasis on that only.
But
what I'm saying is, I remember a case here in Delhi, 2 years back or 3 years back. There was shortage of water in one day in one part of the Delhi city, as such in the entire Union Territory. And the people came out on the streets and smashed the windows panes of the private cars. Is that what is democracy then?
Have you considered that the anger could possibly be because they feel that there is no solution, that there is no hope, that their leaders are cut off from them, which is why people have this anger and frustration building up?
In a democracy, the leaders cannot be cut off from the people.
But they are.
You please go to the constituencies of the leaders to find out how they have to intermingle and interact with the people there. But the important thing is not that. Important thing is, if a situation develops, if some incident takes place, what is the response of the government there to? You must lay emphasis on that. What is the government doing? In this case, do you think the government has not been doing anything?
But that's because you've been pushed into action, not because of your own volition. But that's a fact. Because there's been so much pressure on the government, that's why you've been forced to act.
This is democracy. This is democracy. I say, well, it's your right to say that. But then it's the responsibility of the government to react to a situation and take corrective measures for the future. That is what is important.
No, but you're saying that political leaders go out and meet people. I challenge that statement. Look at, for example, Mrs. Gandhi, look at the Prime Minister. When was the last time they actually went out and interacted with common folk? Found out, okay, what is it that is bothering you?
Please even check up in their constituencies, I'm saying.
Why just their constituencies?
Why are you
what about the rest of the country?
Well,
they haven't been picked up in Raebareli. There are leaders of all of India.
Right, people come and meet them from all over the country here every day. We are, actually blowing this matter out of proportion. I must say that with all the respect. We are blowing it out of proportion, whether on that particular incident there was some minister there or not. Mrs. Sheila Dikshit went to the agitators. What did they do?
She went so late. If she'd
No,
gone earlier, maybe people wouldn't have been so angry if she'd gone on the first day.
See, what I'm saying is, and this is not without reason, what I'm saying is, the first day when the students may have gathered there, it was the expression of a spontaneous anger and anguish. But later on, there are other people who always infiltrate into those things. And they have all political access to grind. And all the entire movement is hijacked by other people. They give it a different direction. And you want the government to go and talk to those people who don't want to listen to you, who are congenitally always opposed to anything that the government does.
A lot of them were apolitical protesters.
Well,
They'll be horrified by what you're saying.
I'm saying on the very first day they were. I agree with you when you said on the very first day, there was a large number of people. I said so. Please don't mislead me on this. And it was an upsurge of a spontaneous anger. And that was justified. And that would certainly help in to some extent taking good corrective measures. But what is important is we must also change our mindsets. After that, first to this date, what is happening in this country? Why doesn't the society rise against that? We should rise against that also and see that no such incident takes place anywhere.
No, but look at
you are only putting it all because a political leader, a minister was not present in the midst of the agitators who were upturning the cars or anything, and you are saying, well, somebody must have been present there, that would have solved the issue.
No, but
that would not have solved the problem.
Look at all the actions that were taken.
I'm sorry, I'm convinced that would not have solved this issue.
Look at all the steps that were taken. The Prime Minister coming out and making that speech. Mrs. Gandhi going and meeting some people who were from the NSUI. All of it happened as a consequence of public pressure. None of it came as a natural instinct of our political class, Minister, where they felt, okay, people have a problem, let's find out what that is.
I don't know how you say that it was because of the pressure.
Absolutely.
When the people came there, if they were the NSUI people, are they not the people of the country?
Why not meet some common folk? Why meet people who are affiliated to you politically?
Which common folk wanted to talk to them and wasn't granted that right?
There were so many people who came outside their houses, protested and were sent back.
No, you are only making one point, that if people come out of their houses, protest, that vociferously as they did, always a minister must go to them. That is not the thing. What I say is, what is important is, how does the government react to that situation?
Let me ask you.
Does the government take some consequent corrective measures or not? And here the government is not wanting.
Let me ask you about the big hope for the Congress party. Young leader Mr. Rahul Gandhi completely missing in action. At a time when youth across the country were agitated and protesting, they had the legitimate question, where is Rahul Gandhi? Why was he missing in action?
This is again the extension of your earlier question. This is just the extension of the earlier question.
Which you haven't been able to answer.
No, but I have my clear view on that. That the responsibility of the government or anyone associated with the government or anyone associated with the government, a party which is in power, and that is the General Secretary, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. The important thing is, how do you look at the things?
How do you look at anything without knowing what the problem is? How do you find out what people are saying unless you chat with them?
Do you think that the government doesn't know what's gone wrong?
If it knew what's gone wrong and was able to set it right, people would be out in the streets.
The steps have been taken. The cabinet has met after that.
If the government knew what was wrong, people wouldn't be agitated.
The government did take action to, provide the best care to the to the victim of the case in the hospital. When the doctors felt that there was a need to take her abroad also, it was done for the most specialized hospital for the purpose of transplantation. And when the dead body arrived there, Mrs. Gandhi and the Prime Minister went there at the dead of the night at 3 a.m. in the morning to receive the body there. And if you still keep saying, well, this is because of the pressure, well, because of the pressure, you are at liberty to say that. I say the government has not been wanting in anything. Whatever steps had to be taken, the cabinet took a decision to make amendments into the law, and there has been, in our case, that we'll make the necessary changes wherever necessary, and if the special courts have to be set up, the judiciary has stepped in to provide for that. What is important in my view is not only the severity of the punishment, what is important is the certainty of the punishment to an offender, and that the government is determined to do.
But my concern, Minister, is that as anger dissipates, as people go back into their homes, the system will come back to what it does best, which is nothing. Things will be the way they are and nothing will change. We'll be back to that chalta hai attitude.
This is again expression of a general view.
It's a fact. It happened after 26/11. The same thing happened after 26/11.
Please, you're ignoring and overlooking all the steps that the government has taken.
In the first few weeks, what happened. Otherwise, nothing was done later.
Do you think it will always be like that very first day? Always, it cannot be the first day after a 2-year period. It cannot be what was the position on the first day. But what is important is what steps the government has taken. Tell me what incidents have happened. Hasn't the government sharpened its machinery and geared up to meet with any eventuality? Haven't the people now seen an environment of confidence amongst the people? Isn't not so? If you were to just say, well, if the situation that prevailed on 26/11, the same situation doesn't prevail today.
The same urgency doesn't prevail.
It cannot prevail the same way after 3 years, because in the meanwhile, in the interregnum, you have taken steps to rectify the situation, to put in place mechanism where you can check such things in future.
Well, you've made your case. It's the people who must decide what they make of your answers. Mr. Pawan Kumar Bansal, for speaking to us on Headlines today. Thank you very much. Thank you.